Hello. Hexen and hackers, welcome to the next talk that tries to make a pragmatic shift in Bluetooth security. Thierry Zoller of Enruns and Kevin Finisterre, who cannot be here because of reason beyond his control today, will show a complete pragmatic shift in Bluetooth security, why your company is at risk, why your security measures will not work out like you maybe thought, and what you can do on all levels of Bluetooth, from the lowest level to the application level. He will show like how to get a root shell via Bluetooth. Yeah, I've seen this talk already on HackLU. I can just wish you a lot of fun. Please, warm welcome, Thierry Zoller.
So, okay, Microsoft working. So let's start off. Yeah, basically the recommendation: turn off your Bluetooth, not because that's uncool, but simply because Kevin said so. That's Kevin. And basically there will be code released that may lead to the compromise of your box if you enable Bluetooth. So just turn it off as a recommendation. If you don't, not my problem. The goal of this talk is not to build myths or to show off and not to show how. So I'm trying to show you how exactly I'm doing things, more the full disclosure nature. I'm limited in time, so sometimes I will scratch the surface. I'm free for questions and comments afterwards, so feel free to ask. The goal, of course, is raise a bit of awareness, make risk more transparent, and show cool stuff. So, what are we talking about? So basically you have an introduction. I'm sorry you have to do this, because else it doesn't make really sense. You can't really estimate the risk or see how it works without it. Extending the range, you all know it. And implementation issues and protocol specification issues. Basically that picture, quite funny, because I thought that's a good representation of the Department of Homeland Security, that threat level, the terrorist level, that's basically always at this stage, so please panic. Okay. So a few tidbits about Bluetooth. Operates on the non-regulated ESM band, 2.4 GHz, in general 79 channels, except who they thought is France, Spain, because it wasn't regulated there, and the military used parts of the spectrum. So in France it has, like, I believe, 23 channels. It does frequency hopping, which is, let's call it a security through obscurity layer, because that's what prevents general people from auditing or really looking deep into the protocol stack. It is a complete framework with profiles and layers of protocols. It's not like Wi-Fi. It's a complete framework, so it has layer 1, layer 2, layer 3, layer 4, layer 5, layer 6, layer 7. And it's completely defined. It's with mandatory profiles, so it's big, really, really big. The specification 1.2 has 1,200 pages. It's a nice framework, it's very well thought, but the specification is a mess. And it's not really a wonder that actually those who implement these things kind of do things differently. What's funny about this is that in specification 1.2, the new thing about the specification was, well, we will introduce specific meanings for shall, must, not, must, which normally is a requirement for the first version, for instance, but, well, they thought, let's do it for 1.2. That basically explains also why some implementations are messed up. Interesting also, the 1 billionth Bluetooth device was sold in November this year. That's kind of a huge number. And always to keep in mind, the goal for Bluetooth was least cost cable replacement, low power usage. So the goal wasn't security, the goal was actually to have little gimmicks with Bluetooth that cost like $5 to produce, and that's it. So the security was pretty much produced around that ultimate goal of low power usage and least cost cable replacement. So the foundation, the protocol stack, we have the different layers, some implemented in hardware, some in software. We have the baseband, which is basically responsible for, which is the physical layer, which does the hopping, which does error correction. Then you have the LMP, which does security and quality of service. Then we have something that's called HCI, and that's basically an interface that you can reach as a user to communicate with the layers below. So if you do an HD tool scan, that's actually the implementation here that goes down towards the hardware layer. Yeah, then we have the L2 cap. L2 cap is basically a multiplexer, demultiplexer for the protocols above, as you see. Then you have RFCOM, which is a serial emulation. And basically we have everything you know above, and here's layer 7. So, Red Fang, Oli Whitehouse, you all know it probably, brute forces devices which are in non-discoverable mode, so they can't normally be discovered. His implementation does like 23 MAC addresses a minute. He made a parallel version, so you can put up to, I believe, 127 Bluetooth dongles with hubs. Of course, you look like a tree afterwards. But you can't optimize the brute forcing pretty much. It's not that reliable because sometimes it misses. That's very well known. It uses a read remote name, which, to my belief, acts as the LMP layer. Not so known is actually that you can use the layer above, the L2 ping. You can ping devices which are in non-discoverable mode. I've not seen any implementation of this, but to my belief it should be a bit faster than this method here. We'll see another method to find a big chunk of the MAC address passively. That's going to be one of the main findings. So a typical Bluetooth scenario, typical between Gänsefüßchen. Actually, the baseband sends inquiries and the device sends an inquiry response if it's in discoverable mode. So that's how you find devices. If you do an HC tool inc, it will actually send inquiry and inquiry packages. We will see how this works exactly afterwards. It's completely different than wireless, than Wi-Fi. Sorry. Yeah. Then the Bluetooth access point says, well, I'm here, I can be reached at these frequencies, so the handshake, what is called the frequency hopping sequence. Actually, like I said before, they hop around 1,600 times per second at different channels. So actually the paging is a synchronization between the master and the slave, which tells it, hey, in X microseconds, I will be on this channel listening for a packet, and then on this, and then on this. And so they agree to hop at the very same frequency. What's interesting is that a Piconet, which has 7 active slaves and 1 master, actually hops at the very same frequency altogether. We'll see that afterwards too. So the link is established using the LMP layer. It may discover profiles over SDP. It's a very basic Bluetooth scenario. Then it goes up to the RFCOM and actually establishes a connection towards a profile defined above. So the inquiry, the first contact. How do the devices find each other? One could say, let's say all Bluetooth devices will meet at a specific channel, let's say channel 78. But what happens if somebody puts a chicken in the microwave and that channel is jammed? They couldn't meet. So what was the solution was that during the inquiry stage, every Bluetooth device hops at a specific frequency. They always hop exactly at the same frequency. And that's why you can find devices that are in discoverable mode, because they hop at the same frequency. And you're trying to listen at this frequency, to send packets at these frequencies and find them. So during inquiry stage, you also pass parameters like this is my MAC address and this is my clock offset. The paging, frequency hopping synchronization. Slaves always sync to the master. Actually, at initialization level, the slaves hops one channel a second, very slowly, but the master just goes over it 3,200 times a second. Then the second step in paging is both have synchronized and hop at 1,600 times a second. So what's important is that the Piconet agrees to sequence based on parts of the Bluetooth address, that's a BD address, looks like a MAC address, has 48 bits, and the clock offset of the master. Every Bluetooth device has a clock. Every Bluetooth device has a pseudo number, random number generator. That's kind of cool, like we will see afterwards. And frequency hopping is the reason you cannot easily sniff Bluetooth traffic, so you can't put your device in monitoring mode and hop, you will sniff everything. It doesn't work out because you don't know at what frequency these devices actually communicate and at what frequency to listen at. So you could, of course, use a spectral analyzer and reconstruct afterwards, but you have to implement the whole Bluetooth stack, the baseband, the RF radio frequency, and pretty much of a challenge, so good luck. Bluetooth profiles, I'll pass over it pretty fast, represent a group of defines of mandatory options, so they are mandatory. That's one part of the framework that's pretty well done. Actually, to have compatibility, you can discover the profiles a device offers. So you can ask it, what service do you have to offer to me, and we'll give you a list. And we'll also give you a list to how to connect to it. So you will see that here's OBEX push profile. We'll see, of course, the baseband. That's mandatory. So we have the L2CAP layer. That's an output of SDP browse tool from the BlueStack. L2CAP layer, the RFCOM layer, and the OBEX. Different Bluetooth modes, discoverable modes, sends inquiry responses to all inquiries, limited discoverable, well, depends on the implementation. Visible for a certain amount of time. There's, Ericsson, yeah, okay. There's also implementation bugs. At this level, Sony Ericsson implemented what is limited discoverable. They are just discoverable for 2 minutes. So you activate it, says discoverable for 2 minutes, and then afterwards, normally, it's no longer discoverable, except you ping it. If you ping it, it will stay discoverable forever. And the funny thing is, when it's discoverable, it's attackable. And since this has the basic attacks, blue bug, and whatever the name for the other one was, the AT commands and the OBEX stuff. Non-discoverable, it never answers to an inquiry scan, and that's, of course, in theory. Then we have the pairing modes, non-pairable mode, reject every pairing request with LMP not accepted. There's also implementation bugs on this layer, because Plantronics managed to really fuck that up. That's a headset like this. It has a nice button to it, which makes it in pairable mode. Then the light starts blinking and you see, oh, I can pair now. The problem is the button is just cosmetic because it's always in pairable mode. So, okay. So that's another implementation issue. They got it wrong. Pairable mode will pair upon request. Okay. So, extending the range. That's from Kevin. Kevin tried to measure the distance he can get with I think that's an 80 dBm Yagi. Actually, Kevin was here, and his phone was there. And he put the phone on the bank with a note saying, here, hey, this phone is here for a reason. Please don't take it away. And while he was here, pinging the device,